From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you into this Wednesday's edition of For the People on December the 6th, 2017. One of the joys of being a parent is not only raising them, but when they get sick, you may not exactly get what they get, but you get something, some remnants, and I just been feeling awful, believe it or not, for the last couple days here, taking some Tylenol. You know things are bad when you're taking that, but she had a really bad cold, and I've had the chills, so I don't know if it's the flu. I don't know if it's a cold, I don't know. But, we're suffering through this today on 4th. I got to tell you. And I got my coffee with me, a Veranda Blend Starbucks today with my Keurig coffee mug in hand here. And it is the exclusive For the People coffee mug that I am drinking out of it, with the red, white, and blue. And yes, even reminding me that I have a show to do each and every day. That's the big reminder. And we do have a terrific show lined up for you no matter where you're listening across the fruited plains today. We are going to be talking about the deadbeat immigrant that got acquitted. But all is not lost. Don't fear. The federal officials are filing this new set of immigration and gun charges. You may have heard about it, and it looks like it might take some traction. The guy who got acquitted, Jose Inez Garcia Zarta, the illegal immigrant found not guilty last week of Kate Steinle. You may have heard about Kate Steinle several years ago, who got shot by this guy, and the federal grand jury indicted him today for being a felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition, for being an illegal present alien in possession of firearm and ammunition, according to a statement released by the Department of Justice. Now, if convicted of either charge, he could face a maximum of 10 years in jail. It's something, folks. It's better than nothing at all. He deserves to be behind bars, and minimal of 10 years would be terrific, given the fact that he should not have had the firearm, the ridiculous notion that he was shooting at SEALs. He shouldn't have had a gun, period. He should have been in the country illegally, and as many times as he was a repeated felon. But yes, if it was anybody else, and this is the irony. If you're in San Francisco and you shot somebody else's daughter and you weren't an illegal alien, they'd lock you up. And if San Quentin was open, they'd put you in San Quentin. I mean, that's the fact. But because it was illegal, because it was a sanctuary city, they have to go out of their way to protect them, to show them that they are alien friendly, illegal alien felon friendly, murderer friendly. They have to stand by what they say they're going to do. Because after all, these illegals will vote for these folks time and time again, where it's ensured that they will have as many years in office as Vladimir Putin gets, which actually he's going to put himself in the office probably another 15, 20 years. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But this is good news for those that thought this guy was just going to literally get away with it all. And I know that the judges, and for those that think that this guy should have got away with it, I'm sure they're all upset about it. These new charges follow a move this past Friday by the Department of Justice, which unsealed an amended warrant for Zarta, which includes violations related to the charges of felon in possession of a firearm, involuntary manslaughter, and assault with a deadly weapon, all of which were filed after the defendant's initial arrest, according to the warrant. After Zarta's acquittal, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement also announced last week that they plan to take Zarta into custody and remove him from the U.S. after the case was completely over. The ICE Deputy Director Tom Horman said San Francisco's policy of refusing to honor ICE detainees is a blatant threat to public safety and undermines the rule of law. This tragedy could have been prevented. Now listen, folks, what he says here. Could have been prevented if San Francisco had turned the alien over to ICE as we requested, instead of releasing him back into the streets where he killed Kate Steinle. I mean, it's got to be one of the most stupidest things that were done by that jury pool and by that, well, you know, O.J. Simpson. He had Johnny Cochran. If it fits, you can't acquit. Remember? Exactly. And of course, have you ever tried to not put a glove on? You ever tried to be resistant towards something where it just won't? If you want to get into something, you want to put something on, you can squeeze into that something, whatever it is. You ladies know. They say you can't fit into it. You fit into it, don't you? Guys, you know you're squeezing into something sometimes. This was just trickery and grandstanding, and there's good, slick PD, public defenders and attorneys that, and that was just the case here. But it's already, ready and ripe for such a, antics in the courtroom over there, because this is the way the city's ran anyway. But just so bizarre. But, ICE needs to have the ability to go into any city that harbors these illegals to protect the citizens. And if the federal or the local government is not going to protect us, then the feds need to be able to go in there and get them regardless of whatever they say they need to do. That just needs to be nipped in the bud immediately. This is so bizarre. It just is ridiculous. If anybody in any city in the United States should see, remember Texas? They were so aggravated with Obama that they just wanted to cut themselves off from the United States of America because they could sustain themselves. They could more than function without the federal government's help. But that would be one city in America that I could just do without. Why don't you just cut yourself off? That would be okay. Just the country of San Francisco. Because really, they're marching to their own drum completely on so many different things. Where's the outrage? Seriously, where is the outcry? Where is the outrage? I just don't get it. Is there that many people in San Francisco that don't get what happened? Or is it just that they simply don't care? I am so convinced that it is that folks hear this news, see this news, and it's true with a lot of different things that go on in our country where they become desensitized. I guess that's a good word to use. It doesn't affect them. It's not my daughter. That wasn't my son. It didn't happen in my city, my town. But when it does, then it changes. Then there's something that changes when it's in your backyard. Then it becomes all too real. And I'm saying don't let it come to that point to where it is all too real at your front door, because if that's what you're waiting for, guess what? It'll be there sooner rather than later. You don't want that. I don't want that. But unfortunately, this is exactly what the monster is. And it's been created by them, the left, allowing this to happen. They are creating such a dangerous environment for each and every one of us that lives in these cities, these so-called sanctuary cities. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, you want to talk about anti-patriotic, anti-American, completely anti-American. It's just it's screwballs running our country. These leftist liberal snowflakes that have no sense to come out of the rain. I don't know if they're suffering from brain damage. Somebody hit them on their heads. They fell down the stairs one too many flights when they were kids or adults. I don't know. I can't answer that. But there's something going on, and I really don't like it one bit. But I say, again, do not become or allow yourself to become desensitized to this. Ask God to renew your heart and your mind every single day, because it is prevalent that there's so many negative stories. Some of them are just downright depressing, and you hear them and you see them and you say, oh, my God, what world we live in. And this is just business as usual. This is just what goes on now. I don't want it to be business as usual. It doesn't need to be this way. But they're okay with it. They're fine with that. They'll protect them, no matter how heinous the crime is. And folks, that should be alarming. That should not be the status quo. That would be like saying, you know what? We want a 9/11 style bombing by ISIS at least once a month. We want buildings to topple over. We want shock and awe. We want that to happen. It's kind of like the stupid stupidness of saying something like that. That's exactly the mindset of these liberals. They may not be point blank saying it, but their actions say something completely different. They are protecting ISIS-minded terrorists. And maybe they're not toppling buildings, but they're killing people one by one through DUIs, mowing people down, through shooting people, and through killing our youth and our adults in this country with drugs over the border. And the reason why so many of them are protecting them is because they're benefiting from them through votes and through payoffs. They're getting money for it. It's how they're able to stay in office. Look how diversified we are. We're meeting more than our quota. Look how friendly we are. Look how accepting we are. That's not being accepting. That's being stupid. You know, you ever watch Forrest Stupid Is as Stupid Does? But San Francisco is not the only city, folks. We got Miami is a sanctuary city. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, there's many of them. But the blood of Kate Steinle, and I will say this again, I've said this once before, is on their hands. They don't care. And it's got to be very troublesome for the family of the Steinles to see. But, you know, hopefully the feds get their way. Hopefully this pond scum does at least 10 years and they get him and ship him back permanently, where he can never return again. And maybe we should do him a favor just to guarantee that he doesn't, after they release him from prison and he wants to come over here and do something again. Why don't we put a GPS and shoot something in his brain or in his body where he doesn't know where it's at, where it's a locator, so we can keep an eye on these people before we deport them. If there was ever a good use for chips and locators, I really recommend it. That's what we do. Whenever somebody is kicked out of the country, put a locator on them so we can know where they're at any given time in satellite. So if they ever dare come back over, we will be able to nab them so quickly they won't even know what hit them.